Hi everyone, welcome to Knowledge Share YouTube channel. In this first video, I'm going to talk about Terraform's powerful feature that was added in 1.4 and which is nothing but Terraform Data Resource. Before I talk about this particular resource, which is Terraform Data Resource, let me give you an overview of Terraform. And then if you see, it is infrastructure as a code written in declarative configuration files in a native Terraform language. It has multiple provider support, which means it has provider support for AWS, Azure, GCP, and also if you have any custom providers. It also has it has a very strong state management, which means it maintains a consistent state, which enables efficient updates and rollbacks. It also provides you an overview or plan for infrastructure changes right before you actually apply or execute those changes. Now let's talk about Terraform Data Resource. This resource is designed to enhance your configuration flexibility and control, and it kind of is built-in replacement for the null resource. Earlier people were using null resource, which was a Terraform resource, but now Terraform has added this new resource with additional capabilities, and both these resources actually they don't do anything on their own, but they can be used in cases where resource replacement is not applicable. Now let's talk about the prime use cases. Where can you use this Terraform data resource? You can use this in basically in executing scripts or commands without needing a real infrastructure resource to attach to them, right? And second is it can it has a property which can do a force replacement, as in it can hold values that can trigger actions for other resources. Now before I think let me show you examples of these use cases, right? First example, if you see, let me try to run a command. If you see main.txt, it basically is a Terraform data resource, and it has a provision, but it will just echo the command and write through demo.txt. Let me remove this and let me do a Terraform plan, and let me do Terraform apply. If you see, with the help of Terraform data, I was able to echo this command, and which actually echo the hello world, and it kind of redirected to demo.txt. If you see demo.txt, it is nothing but hello world. This is one of the use cases, right, to run commands. And second one was to execute scripts. Let me show you one more example, and then main.tf. If you see, it is nothing but setting the permissions of this bash shell script, and then running the shell script. Let's run the shell script. Do a plan, do a apply, do yes, and it just executed this shell script, and if you see, just std out hello and world. Now this is one of the prime use cases, right, to execute scripts or commands without actually without needing a real infrastructure resource. There was no resource. It was just it just executed the script, or in earlier case it just echoed the command, right? There was no infrastructure resource required. Now second was to it can hold values, which I was saying, right, which can lead to trigger actions. Now let's look at that, right? If you look at the main.tf, so if you see, I am using Terraform data, and it has this property called Terraform replace, right, which basically here if you see, there's a value which is stored in this instance state, and which will do a force replacement. How can it do it, right? If you see, there's a variable which is my underscore trigger underscore value, and then this is used in the life cycle of this AWS instance resource that I'm creating. If you see the life cycle of this particular resource, it has this property called replace triggered by. It monitors the ID of this particular my data, which is created by Terraform data resource, and if the ID changes, and it will invoke again this resource irrespective of any configuration changes, right? Even if there is no configuration change, even if this configuration remains same, it will still re-trigger it, because I'm using a lifecycle hook that is monitoring this Terraform data, which is my data ID. So now let's try to run this. So right now if you see, I have this, let me create this Terraform. Let's open this main.tf. Let me create this file terraform.tf files, and then maybe use, now provide an action, or let me just run it maybe for now. If you see Terraform plan, okay, maybe one for now. So it will just, it's saying, it just gave you a plan of configuration changes that it will do. It will just create the AWS instance, right? It will do a create with this configuration, with this AMI ID and rest of the configuration. So let's do an apply. One. So it started creating the, if you see, say yes, it will start creating the AWS instance. Let's wait for this to finish. Okay, it created an instance with this ID. Let's look at this instance. Okay, if you see, it started creating, right? So once this is done, now let's do again, let's rerun it again. Now if you do plan, if I don't change any value and keep the same, it won't do anything. It won't rerun that, AWS instance resource. It'll, because it has just updated these auto, created time fields. That's what it's saying the change. Even if I do plan, if I do apply and give the same value that I gave earlier, which is 1, which means there is no value change, it will just do a update, it will just update with those created at time fields. It's just a state change, state update, right? It will not do anything to that resource. If you see this, the resource is still getting created, right? Nothing initializing. So it did not do anything to the resource. It just updated the state with created at time fields, in these time fields, right? Auto created, created, and then what happens now? Now let's try to change it. Plan. Now let's give a different value 2. In this case, the value changed. Now if you see, it refreshed the state and identified there is a value change. It will try, so it will do a replacement. Now it will try to, because there's a replacement of data from 1 to 2, and then it will try to invoke that AWS instance resource, because there's a life cycle property which is looking at that value. Let's do a Terraform apply. Then if I do again 2, it will refresh the state, and then it will again, if you see, if I hit S, it started creating a new instance, because the ID changed, right? The value changed, which was stored in the trigger replace, right? It was stored in that variable my trigger underscore value. That changed. If you see, I created a new instance with this value, and now it is destroying the old one. Now it's, if you look at it, you see, it is initializing. It's a new instance. So this is how that Terraform data, this is how you can use Terraform data, right? It kind of it replaced and re-triggered the re-triggered the replacement of the AWS instance due to this replace trigger, which was configured in the life cycle. So it was monitoring that ID, the value changed, it detected a new value change, and it triggered the AWS instance resource again, and which recreated the instance and destroyed the old one. Now this is how, these are the two main use cases of Terraform data, and I hope you learned something from this video. And if you need more video, just like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much. Have a good one.